Hello, my name is Connie Liu. I'm an undergraduate at MIT, and today we're going to be talking about fungi reproduction. So a lot of fungi reproduction happens via the spores that are produced by the fungi, but they can also involve other parts of the fungi as well. So here we have two fungi, and in this case mushrooms, and I'm going to just draw in the hyphae for them. And then as it goes outside of the cell, it becomes known as mycelia. And then what happens in sexual reproduction within fungi is that these mycelia actually release pheromones. And this is the same thing that humans release as well. One thing, if you really like a guy or you really like a girl, you probably really like how they smell too, and how they smell has to do with the pheromones. So this also represents sexual attraction. So for fungi, if they really like the pheromones or the signal of the pheromones is compatible with them, they extend their mycelia until they're touching the other fungi, and then they have a union of cytoplasms between the two cells within the fungi. And this union of cytoplasms is known as plasmogamy. So this is the union of cytoplasm, but that doesn't necessarily mean the nuclei have fused. So the nuclei fusion actually happens in a separate step, and that's known as karyogamy. So this is when the nuclei fuse. Once the nuclei fuse, this forms a diploid cell, but then meiosis occurs with this diploid cell, and then it enters another cycle of germination and forming another fungus. So this is essentially how the reproduction cycle of the fungi works. Now let's kind of look at a diagram of that. Here we have the sexual and asexual cycle of reproduction for fungi. It's pretty basic in that these spores are going to be, once we go through that process I just talked about with the new the zygote being formed, going through meiosis, and then forming a new fungus. That new fungus is going to be able to provide you with spore-producing structures, which are found underneath the fungus, or the mushroom in this case. So those spore-producing structures are going to produce more spores, spread them throughout the land, and then those spores are going to be able to grow up into new fungi. Then those new fungi will be able to mate with each other through having their mycelia touch, and then having plasmogamy, and then karyogamy, so the fusion of cytoplasm, and then a little bit later they're going to fuse nuclei. This stage can actually take a very large range of dates. It can take a few hours to even a few years. So this really varies by the fungi you're dealing with or the time of year you're looking at. So this is going to vary a lot, but it usually takes a huge range of time in order for it to move from the fusion of cytoplasm stage to the fusion of nuclei. So it might stay in this heterokaryotic stage for quite a while before it actually forms another fungus, or actually form this new cell zygote that's going to undergo meiosis. But this is essentially the cycle that all fungi are going through. The asexual part usually takes form of growing and producing spores very rapidly. These spores can basically form there can be many of them. Many of them can be produced and then be spread across the land and grow into new mushrooms or new fungi. But some fungi actually do it a different way. And then if you look at, say, yeast, they undergo asexual reproduction by budding. So if you have a original yeast cell, then it's actually the way that it reproduces is going to be by budding another of itself from this and then suddenly becoming two yeast cells. So that's how yeast reproduces, but that's not necessarily the case for all fungi.